Hey everyone, welcome back to the live stream today. We're in the shop and we're going to be installing this CRL AW1033 awning window into our van. Now, we did a live stream before where we went inside the van, and I've got a camera set up there right now. And if you look to the right-hand side, we did that briefly. We just kind of went over how that was put together. Today, we're going to do the whole thing live. So on the left side, we're going to take that panel off that we've located. It's an interior panel kit from AVC Rig. And we're going to take that panel off. We're going to install the window. Then we're going to install the window pill, which is the foam spacer between the window and the panel. And then we're going to put the panel back on. We're going to trace out where the window pill cutout is going to be. It's very specific to do that correctly. Then we're going to take it all apart. And then we are going to put it all back together. So that is the plan for today. And I just said that we're going to install the window. We're going to install the window after we trace out where the window pill goes. So don't worry. We're going to go through the whole entire thing here in just a second. So let's go ahead and we're going to get into the van and get started and show you how I approach this if you guys are wanting to cut out your window, your wall panel and make it nice and flush with the window that you choose. It doesn't have to be a CRL AW1033 window. It could be any type of window. It could be a motion window or anything like that. The same process still applies. So let me make sure I change over to the correct microphone. There we go. Now we're on our wireless. So let's just go in, and it's going to take me a second to get everything ready. But yeah, we're going to come in here. I'm going to talk about the window real quick. So let me get the foam window pills. All right, we need our drill. It's on the seat, perfect, so we can take that off. So we'll take the panel off. We're going to tape those on, and then we'll put the panel back on. All right, so one thing I wanted to mention on this window, if you're doing the window like I've done the window in the past, which is I drill and tap for socket head cap screws, you can use button head cap screws that have a more rounder edge. I like the socket heads because I can actually twist them and hand tighten them in here. So today I had a challenge where this morning I was going and drilling and tapping these holes, and sometimes the frame on these CRL windows is off a pretty good bit. You can see there's about a almost a 1/4 inch gap down here at the bottom. It's usually tight and closed together, and when that happens, just in my experience, if you ignore that and you don't pay attention to these corners, you're going to have this frame come on top of this ridge here. If that happens, you're not going to get the appropriate clamp force on this gasket seal. It's going to be too high, and you're going to bite down on the screw and you're going to think that you got it seated, but now you got this loose part. And what's even worse is this top part will actually clamp and the bottom one will clamp, so you'll feel like the window is really in there. However, the most critical part to these windows is these corners. So if this is on this ridge and you can't bring it outside the ridge to clamp it down, it's going to bind, and this will be a potential area for the window leaking. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that, you know, anybody can have this happen. So it happened to me today when I took this out of the box. Now I know not everybody has extra windows, so I actually opened up another box and put the other frame on there to see if anything was different. They were both exactly just not bent the way they should have been bent. There's a workaround where I clamp this and I just kind of go and drill and tap each one, and then I kind of actually, it's almost like it rebends into a new position. So there's a gap down here. Main point is you want these edges to clamp all the way smooth, so there's no gap. So I've done that. I've drilled and tapped. If you haven't seen the drilling and tapping video for this. I'll put a link here in just a little bit. It's the, I think it's how to drill and tap threads in a AW1033 window. Anyway, these screws are M4 by 0.7, and if you have a flatline Vanco trim ring, you're going to want to use the 16 millimeter length screws. If you don't, and you're doing raw sheet metal of a Ford Transit van, you're going to want to use the 12 millimeter length. Okay, so enough of that. What we're going to do now is we're going to take this frame off and just get ready to do this panel. And as usual, if you guys have any questions, you can put those in the live chat. It doesn't have to be related to what we're doing here with putting the windows and cutting out the opening for the wall panel, but the chat is there for questions. So let's make sure we put some cardboard down before we scratch anything. And I put a piece of tape on here to mark how wide my gap is. And so this is kind of going to be my teaching tool for you. So when we take this off, we're just going to use masking tape to match the frame to this. And then we're going to take our window pills and we're going to tape them on. This will all make sense in a second when we take this whole thing off. The reason I think this video will be helpful today is this is something you're going to see when you build your van every single day. So when you get into your bed at night, you're going to see that transition that you've made between the hole cutout. So if you don't cut the hole out well, then it's going to be won't look good. And in a minute, what we'll do after we get this whole thing mapped out and sketched is when we go to actually install the window again, we're going to make sure we put Loctite on the window. All right, guys, I got some questions. What we got? Awesome. Hey, Scott, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, it was great seeing you in Chattanooga as well. And awesome. So Andrew asked, how well do the CRL windows keep out the cold in the winter? Is it double pane something we should prioritize? So the best way to answer that, just from my opinion, is it's how are you going to use the window? So the CRL windows, it's single pane, and they're nice and compact. I think the Arctic Tern, I don't think the footprint is skinny enough. So I think they're more of a square and rectangle shape, whereas the CRL is a little bit low profile. But if you're going into the double pane or trying to get into double pane windows for thermal purposes, that means you're probably going out to Colorado. Maybe you want to take trips to Canada or Alaska, and you need every bit of, keep a bit of efficiency, keeping all the heat in. So if that is your goal, you're really trying to keep the heat in or the heat out. That's how you would prioritize, in my opinion, an Arctic Tern versus a single pane. However, just keep in mind, if you like the way the CRL windows look, because you can get windows that have more of a factory finish. So when we actually go to install the window over here on this door, it goes right in between the body lines. So like the relief of the body lines, and it looks super pro. It looks just like a normal factory window. So if you want the look, CRL might be the way to go. If you don't care about that and you're just doing it strictly for efficiency, Arctic Tern would be the way to go that direction. And the final thing that I would say, just for advice, is if you get the CRL, don't think that you're losing a bunch of heat in a van. So mix how many windows you're going to put in with how much insulation you have. So for example, on this van, we're only doing 2 awning windows in the back and 1 passenger T-vent window. Now everything else will be closed. So we got a lot of insulation in the van. We're going to have a lot of heat or cold loss when we have our AC on. Now for Thomas's van, which is the Marine 1 build that we did, his van is an all glass van. So it's more of a challenge for him to cool it down in the summer and then heat it up in the winter, because he's got a lot of heat loss. And it doesn't even matter if he has the insulated window covers. That much surface area of glass is going to take the heat out. Now, there's 2 ways to combat that, and I'll get back to the point of the which windows you should get. If you got a really robust AC system or heating system in your van, then maybe you don't really worry about how many windows you put in or what type of windows those are. Now, if you go back and you have a very small diesel heater or gasoline-fired heater, maybe you don't have an air conditioner, you just have a vent fan, and it's harder for you to keep the heat in or keep the van cool, then going back to prioritizing a double pane window might be something you're interested in. But short answer is CRL windows look more factory, but they're not as insulative. And then the Arctic Tern have a different footprint, and you may have to reach out to some other manufacturers that, for example, I'm using these window pills. So I'm using these window pills, and see, they're specifically designed to take up that gap in this window. Now, if you have a Arctic Tern window, there's a very specific vendor. I forgot what company they are, but they make a specific Arctic Tern window pill that you can choose from. So before you cut that hole out, think about what materials you're going to need if you do decide to go with Arctic Tern to have it pretty much do exactly what we're doing in this video today. How are we making the frame of the window go into the van seamlessly so that we can upholster it and it looks like a professional install? So that's the goal. So, there's all kinds of layers in a van. So you kind of got to think of, and when you do get the window, how are you going to get the window to come and be trimmed out? So that was a long answer, but hopefully that helped. Hold on, Nova. So if it looks kind of weird that I'm using a clamp to take this apart, that's just kind of how out of whack the frame was when I did the drilling and tapping of these holes. And I know some think this is overkill, but from my perspective, I never want to go back to this van once I install it in a customer's van. I don't want to I don't want to have any possibility that the window is going to leak or move or something's going to get loose. It's just, as soon as I do this kind of my way, it'll be off my mind and I can move on to the next build. All right, guys, I'm still here. I see people jumping on the live stream, and I'm on the other camera over here. I'm replying to some comments in the chat. If you guys have any questions, anything about window installs or cutting out the interior panels to match up to your window, including the space in between, this is the video you want to watch today. All right, so we got this, our trim ring off. And we are going to make sure we got our tape on here. All right. So I need to clean up this window. I didn't think I vacuumed it off enough. All right, we're getting in the van. The video is continuing. Let's make some stuff happen here. I know that half of the live stream is probably entertainment, so. Me off camera talking about what I'm going to do is not really helpful. Now, this is not a sponsored video from AVC Rig, but this is also the first time I'm using their interior panels. And what I'm doing now is I have pre-fitted and squared the panel up. Think of all the panels in the van if you get interior kit. It's just a puzzle, but the puzzle is not perfect. So when you put these panels in your van, you're going to need to, like this side, you're going to put all four together and make sure that the spacing's even, the height's even, they're not pinching on two edges to where you're going to have to modify it and cut it. So once that is correct, then you can align it up and cut this out. So just imagine if you just put this panel up and just said, well, this is where this goes, and you cut the hole out, and then you go to put this panel in, and now it overlaps because you moved this one too far forward. So you've kind of screwed your hole up. So always think about 3 or 4 steps ahead before you cut anything out in your van. Okay, so here's our panel, and what we're going to be doing here in just a second is we're going to be tracing this to the other side. If you guys missed a live stream on the window cutout, go back and check it out. But this is already ready to go. It's already been sanded down. It's been rust prevented. Rust preventive has been put on it. It's ready to go. It's ready for a window. We're not going to put a window in just yet. So now what we need to do is we're going to take our window pills, for example. Well, not for example. We're going to take them and we're going to evenly put them around our window. Now, I kind of told you wrong in the beginning of this live stream that I said, hey, we're going to put this on here. The problem with that is it's hard to get this taped on here and even. This gap right here is going to be, it's like an 1/8 of an inch, maybe. So we can push our panel into the, I'll show you this in a second, but we're going to get a drywall, I forgot, it's like a drywall, what is this thing? It's the things you can buy at Lowe's, and you can make walls, not drywall, walls. You can take plastic and you can instantly create a wall. So you have these things that are spring loaded. Zip wall, that's the name of it. And so I use these as my second hand. So I'm gonna put it against here, I'm gonna push it. It's gonna put that pressure on this panel that I can get a nice clean trace line. And then I'll take it off and it'll be perfect. So next step is we're going to, I should have done this earlier. I try to do a couple things to speed up the live stream, but sometimes I can't do that. Okay, so we're taking this masking tape, we're going through and we're just taping off. Now, eventually what we're going to do is we're going to use 3M Super 77 adhesive. It's designed for fabric and foam. It's what we use to upholster everything in the shop. But we're also going to use it and spray it and then glue these together. But we're not doing that yet because I don't have the fabric in yet. So it's actually coming in tomorrow. So before the fabric gets here, I'm trying to knock this out. Because as soon as all these panels are ready to go, we can wrap it. We can put our Havelock wool in the whole entire van, put the panels back on, and that'll be a big check off our list. Because we've already made all the dirty stuff is finished. You know, the last live stream we cut out these two holes for the Max fan and the pneumatic cooling 48 volt system, 48 volt AC. So we did that. Let's see here. All right. So this is pretty obvious and straightforward. We're going to take this piece of foam and we want to match it visually to, we're not going to get into measurements and pulling out the measuring tape and stuff like that. But what we're going to do, I'm going to move the camera. We can do it, so let's do it. The van cam. There we go. So as long as when you bought this window pill that each side's even, the one over here, it's off on the inside. One of these lips, the CNC kind of went at an angle. It's not a big deal, but I'm gonna have to fix that. But this one's perfect. There's no weird, it's not messed up anywhere. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to get this nice and centered. Now, if you want to, we can take Nova. Hey, we're on a live stream here. Okay, so this looks nice and even. I do need to go back and get... Hey, Nova, come here. Hey. What's the deal? Okay. Yeah, so the name of the game right now is getting this so that's why I like painting everything with matte black, is because usually anything that I paint gives a really good contrast, so that when I go to actually do what I need to do, it'll help me. If you guys are wondering how I learned how to do this, or like just this specific thing, I'll read instructions, but if I just intuitively have a better way that I think it's going to work, I usually do that first. And then if that fails, I'll go back to the instructions. Okay, that looks nice, flush. And then once you got it really close to how you want it, my advice is to just tape the heck out of it. Because once we're going to go back and put that exterior panel on here, and what's probably going to happen is it's going to move a little bit. So whatever we can do to not make it move would be great. You might say, well, maybe you should clamp it. Well, there's no way to really clamp this. And you notice I'm doing this with the wood lip out. That way I can have a nice scribe line or cut line. Some of the stuff may look overkill, but the reason I do it this way is I just want to do it one time perfectly. I don't want to keep trying. I just want it to be where it's supposed to be, get the panel on, and move on. All right, so this top line is excellent. The curves are good. We've got about quarter inch gap over here. The bottom is really nice and even. So that looks really good. So good news for you guys watching live, we're ready to put the panel back on. Okay, if you guys have any questions about what I did just now, put that in the chat. I think this video looks pretty good. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. Okay. Let's see here. Try to look at my computer at the same time. Okay. So you can pretty much see the reason that you need to have these sheet metal screws in here to locate the panel is because once we trace out the inside, transfer it to the panel, that panel has to go exactly back into the van the way it came out. So that's why this is all the way it is. All right, next we got a panel. If you guys are watching this and you're a DIYer and wanting to attempt something like this, don't feel bad if you haven't done this before. This will make you feel better. When I went to do this exact procedure, I went over here and I bolted the window in, and then I couldn't trace the backside. So it's just one of those kind of losing your mind things where everybody does it. So for me, talking through the live streams it's like a double check for me. So if I can talk to you guys, sometimes I'll talk through something that doesn't sound right, and then I'll say, maybe I should rethink what I just thought about. Obviously right now we do not want to disturb what we did to tape. With the AVC rig panel that I'm using, they have CNC cut out these holes in the top. You can use them for L-track and stuff like that. One benefit that I like is I can put one bolt up here, and then I can take this. Okay, by the way, the bolts that are pre-installed on a Ford Transit, I always like to give helpful tips when I come across my mind. It's an M8, and it's a 1.25 thread pitch by 20 millimeters. You can go longer. I would do like 2 inches. So it's like close to like 50 millimeters or something like that. So an M8 by 1.25 is these bolts right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is get sheet metal screws. I'm going to kind of put them in here, so hopefully they don't fall out I've got 2 there, and I've got 1 down here at the bottom. So those are kind of like my locating pins, if you will. And then this stack of washers is going to center my panel. So now all I've got to do is pick this up. I hang it on the rear bolt, and then I put the middle one in. And then I can just come back over here and move the panel until it finds these screws that these sheet metal screws that I put in. This bottom screw is probably the most important because it sets my height from my bottom panel. If I didn't do that, then I might not be able to put this panel back in later flush because it'll hang on this top. So right now it's not hanging on this. It's actually sitting on this screw. So I'm gonna loosen these just a little bit. This one's not even doing anything right now because to hang this, I had to obviously remove the washer. So now I'm getting my fat washer, technically a fender washer, and I'm putting it on here. Okay. And just hand tight. And then this one, and I've got a clutch on here, so that's not stripping it. Okay, so the panel is back in. Let's see if I can move the live stream rig over to show you how I'm going to trace it on the inside. I think I can do that. So now we're going to need a permanent marker. All right, let me back this thing up. Is my camera still on? Nope, hold on a second. Okay. Let's see. I know it's not in focus. Give me 1 second. Let's see if we can zoom in. I have no room in the shop. Okay, let's get this camera zoomed in and focused. There we go. Okay. So now you guys can see that. It's not in focus, hold on. All right, so free videography advice. Focus on the photo, the video that you're taking. Before you get back into the video, set a focus point and then turn the lens to manual. So now, when I hop over here, it's not hunting all over the place. It's still gonna be slightly out of focus, it doesn't matter. Let me get my step stool, here we go. Okay. All right. How's that look? All right, you guys get the point. Let's go inside the van real quick, and we will take this pole. I've moved the light, so you might not be able to see this, but so we're gonna take the pole. We're gonna go right here on this bottom of our frame so we can push against something. And then we're gonna take this and we're gonna put it over here, and then we're just going to push it in pretty tight as it'll go. And then that's gonna give us our pressure on our window pill. So now if we go over here to the other side, we should have yeah, we should have, let me get another one. I need another extension pole. The other side was easy because we were just pushing against we were pushing against sheet metal, but now we're not. We're pushing against foam. So let's see here. There you go. Okay, let's see if we can go on this side. There we go. So all I did on the inside was I put 2. So I got 2 pushing on the inside. Okay, hopefully that's gonna, okay, dang it. Gotta find out why that's not pushing in there. Okay, why are you not working? Okay. All right, I think I got it. There we go, perfect. So now we've got a perfect seal around this whole entire piece of wood. Our offset looks really good as far as where our foam is, so it didn't move. As far as we can tell, it does not, it feels even. Okay, so now we're gonna actually trace our line, which is the easiest part of this whole thing. Now when we jigsaw this out, we're gonna make sure we want to cut on the line. We definitely do not want to cut outside of the line because remember, this is going to be upholstered. So typically your wall painters either be upholstered or painted. So when we do this, we're gonna cut on the line so that our cut is gonna be flush in line with our window. So that's perfect. I'm actually going to mark this window pill so that I know what the top of it was, because sometimes the orientation, you just kind of want to keep things the way you set it in. Regardless if it kind of helps or not, it's just won't hurt anything if you do. Okay, so you just saw me trace it out. Pretty simple. So now we'll come back into the van. We'll take this off. Okay, I know I have all these fancy cameras, but I don't have a camera set up for where I'm going to be cutting this, so you're just going to have to hang out for a minute while I cut this. Oh yeah, I didn't even show you what I did. All right, here you go. So now this is our hole that we're going to cut out. So we're going to take a drill bit, we're going to drill here, and then we're going to take a jigsaw on the line, jigsaw, cut this whole entire thing out. Take your time. The finish that you're going to give this with a jigsaw is what you're going to wrap your upholstery around. And if it doesn't look right, it's going to translate to the upholstery and it's going to look like a little bump if you messed up or something. So just take your time. I'll be turning my microphone off here in just a second, just because I don't want to blow your eardrums out. So you're just going to need a drill bit that's the size of your jigsaw blade. That's what you're going to use to cut it out. All right, let's turn this down a little bit. See how loud that is? Okay, it's not terrible. All right, guys, we're back. The hole is cut out. I'm bringing back the piece of wood. Let's see how we did. The same procedure, just get your sheet metal screws back in their place, get your drill ready. Hang it up. See, I didn't even have to look. The confidence is there. So check it out. Excellent. Perfect. Fit. There you go. So now all we have to do is we'll take the panel back off and we'll put the window in. That'll be the final step. So this is just a good place to double check your work. So I nicked this part of the wood, or maybe there's something wrong with the wood, and a little flake came off, which is a good opportunity to teach you guys how to fix that. So when you go to upholster this, you'll actually want to take, you can do wood filler. Sometimes I actually use, this one I might use wood filler, but I usually use spackling, believe it or not, and I fill this hole in, and then I seal it, because I'm going to paint this panel anyway. So, you know, I just treat it like I'm repairing a wall and then sand it and fix it. And that way when I go to upholster it, this little nick right here will be repaired, and you won't see this little blow, I guess they call it blowout or whatever. But now we just want to check so that when we compress everything, it looks good. And yeah, everything looks good. I'm really happy with that. So the next step is we are going to take it back off. We're going to put the window in, and then we'll be done with this project for today. Well, I may be doing other stuff, but for the live stream. So this might be the best example of why you want to do it kind of right the first time. It's okay to, you know, learn and as you go. But when I say do it right, you know, take your time, kind of follow this process, because if you do it right, it's that many less times, that much less that you're gonna have to take this apart. Because you can see I've taken this apart probably 4, 5 times. And you probably don't want to take it off or do more than that. Because then it just gets not fun. But maybe you have to do that. Okay, panel is off. We're just going to set this over here. Okay. Now we're going to go on the outside of the van. We're going to take a bunch of this masking tape, and we're actually going to tape our window to the outside of the van, just so it'll hold the window. So let's go back here. There you go. Oh yeah, I gotta clean the window off. Give me 1 second. If you do drill and tap your window like I did, or I suggest that you guys do, yeah, make sure you vacuum it off really, really well, and you get all the little aluminum filings off. They're not going to rust, but they will prevent it from sealing appropriately. So now, in a past live stream, we've already cleaned the outside of the van with denatured alcohol to allow us to have a nice, clean sealing surface. Here's a good thing to look at. And you can't see it on the camera. So the foam seal on these edges is a little tapered, but it's going to be okay. We've got plenty of sealing surface. Just make a mental note of that when you're installing windows. Actually, I need to take off the foam. Okay, hopping back inside the van, we need to take our foam off. Let's take the foam off. I'm going to take this tape off. We will have to retape this. I wouldn't have to, but since you guys are here, I'm going to have to do that. Be careful taking off this masking tape. You don't want to rip the foam apart, depending on what kind of tape you use. I suggest you use masking tape or the green tape. Don't use painter's tape for anything you work on in a van. It's just a pain in the butt. It doesn't stick to anything. And don't use it on your windows because it doesn't stick, so your windows are going to fall out. All right, here we go. Let's do the outside view, and then let's get into the inside view. So from the outside, watch my other videos on the install to figure out how, there's a couple of parts to this. There's a video that teaches you how to make a cardboard template that you can use to install or trace this cutout. Then the other video tells you how to look out for imperfections in the frame. Some of these frames, they're not perfect, like I was saying earlier. And what'll happen is there's a little spot weld up here to bring the frame together when they manufacture it. And that hump differs between different windows. So some have a hump, some don't have a hump. So when you go to actually sit your window in the van, it might catch on that hump. And you're gonna think that you cut the hole out wrong. So you didn't cut the hole out wrong. The hump is just keeping you from getting your window where you want it to be. Also, when you go to install this, at the bottom of the window, where my two fingers are, there's these plastic, it's like a finish cap, or I don't know what you would call it. It's a piece of plastic that snaps into the bottom channel, and it's what allows it to smoothly sit, ride, and go into the van. So you want to make sure that's not a binding location, or it's, it's pinching. So if that's good, and the window, you get about 1/8 of an inch left to right, 1/8 of an inch up and down, you're perfect, okay? Now, this floppiness, one second. So this floppiness to the window, this whole frame, this will disappear as soon as the window frame gets bolted to it. That's why I'm a fan of bolting the window together with screws, because I can compress this really tight. If you use the hardware kit that comes with the Sierra windows, there's no indicator that you actually screwed it in tight or that it's where it's supposed to be, in my opinion. So this floppiness right here will go away as soon as we put the frame on. Okay, so this is feeling good. Now, if you have somebody to help you, that's great. But you can just tape this into place. You're wanting it to not fall out. It's the weight of the window is going to pretty much hold itself in. We just don't want it to fall out. Okay. There we go. Just to keep with our overkill theme. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a screw in the frame. That way I don't have to stress out that the window's gonna fall off. It would be good if I got the window in before it did fall off. Of course, that would probably make a really good YouTube video. Okay, so same thing here. Any type of metal or anything like that we need to get off. So in this step, you might be test fitting it. For me, this is final install. So I'm going to hand tighten all the screws in here, and I'm going to gently clamp it down, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to take them out, take each individual screw out, and I'm going to put Loctite on it, and then that will start my process for getting the window in. So I still okay, last chance to get this stuff out of here. Okay, there we go, all gone. So when you're doing this, don't push the window out. Don't get so excited you push the window out when it's not bolted in. I haven't done that, I promise. Okay, so we're gonna just hand tighten the first one. Okay, so once we do that, now we don't have to rely on the tape. We can just continue. Now, remember these are M4 by 0.7 is the thread pitch, 0.7, 0.7. We're using some Loctite and this wood board right here. I've got some stainless washers that have been matte black, painted matte black, so that this thing looks great. It's hard to find black washers, so. Now during this process, because we used clamps to kind of get this this outer compression ring to seat, we'll probably have to do it to get our screws in here. And if you feel a tight spot, just stop, go to a different hole. Because aluminum is very soft and it's very, very easy to strip. This is the last, we don't want this to strip because it's a window, we don't want it to leak. So you can see it in building a van, you're doing a lot of stuff over and over. That's kind of what it takes sometimes because everything's custom. As much window kits or window templates or templates that I make, even though this had a template, it's still kind of a one-off install is how things are cut out. Okay, so this one, we need to clamp up here and then down there. Now, if you're finding it extremely difficult to screw into what you tapped, first off, if you feel any resistance, stop, back the screw out, and you'll probably actually need to get your tap that you tap the holes with and just gently clean the hole out with your tap. It's just probably got a little aluminum burr in it, and it's not a big deal, but if you force the screw in there, it definitely will be a big deal. Let me zoom in the camera so you can see what I'm doing. I know it's like really far away. There we go. Well, that won't work. Come on. Okay, now we got some light. All right, now I can point out the issue. So there's a lip right here. And so I've gotten around the lip on the top, but now as I clamp it in, the lip is moving in the wrong direction. So that is the hard part about this. These CRL frames. As you see, I'm having to bend down this bottom piece in order to get that to move. Yeah, it's just a... Okay, maybe we can move back to this side. Yeah, that looks good. So now that's two. Now this is the part glued to the glass. Don't clamp on this, only clamp to the outer frame. And pretty much all we're doing is just assisting it to get it where we want it. And we're just barely hand tightening this around the frame. And it's just kind of like, it's like a lottery. That window was not hard at all. The frame fit around it fine. There's actually a CRL distribution center in Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is not too far away from me. And so if I need to return something, I can go down there, but I know for you guys, so, I mean, sometimes that's a pain in the butt, especially when you marked out the time to work on your van or all that stuff, and then you open it up and it's not right. So that almost happened to me today. I almost passed and went to a different project before I did this live stream. But then I said, hey, you know, what if I just get 6 clamps out and then just slowly go around the window to get this where it needs to be? And that is what fixed it. Okay, so we've done our first pass. Everything is in there, so the window is right where it needs to be. We're gonna go on the outside of the van. And what we want to check for is the evenness of how our gasket is being compressed on the outside. Now it's not gonna be perfect. but we just want to see that, you know, it's pretty even. Looks good. Now it's too late for this. I did this earlier, but before you bolt it in, this would be a good time to just double check, you know, your evenness of the window to this body line. So we're perfect. Everything looks good. And we can actually I'm gonna take this tape off so you guys can see. So that's there. Also, before it's fully tightened down and you put the Loctite in it, it's good to open this window up, and just check for operation. Make sure it feels good. Also, that flex I was talking to you guys about, see? It's much tighter. But then you're going to have the foam and the wall, so this will be a nice tight fit. All right, let's see where we were going. Yeah, so we're ready to do this with the Loctite. So we're going to come in here and we're going to do our final tighten. So let's put this here. It's a little working area. This is some new Loctite I picked up at the bolt and tool store. So yeah, I have to cut the top off. So if you guys wanted an interesting fact about Loctite, it's activated by the absence of oxygen. So when you put it on the tip of the threads and then you screw it into place, when the threads tighten, you know, there's no air technically between them. So what it does is it will start to cure. Or at least that's what I read. Now, the liquid Loctite is going to make it a little bit easier to screw these in. So be careful that you don't over tighten and strip the threads. I don't want to say it's the end of the world if you do strip the threads, because you can drill another hole in the frame, tap it just like you did the other ones, but it's not going to be even, so you know, won't look like a pro job. Now when we go to torque this down, we're going to do everything by feel because it's just so sensitive to stripping, and we want to make sure that these corners are, we want to pay real close attention to the corners. The corners are the most likely place in a van that's going to actually leak when you put a window in. So that's another reason I like to do this method, is because I want to be able to control how I compress the window down. Okay, it looks like this one we're going to have to put our clamp back on to get it started. Give it a little help. Also, doing it without the washers and then adding them when you do the Loctite, it's also kind of a visual indicator that it's with the one with the washers is the one that you got the Loctite on, just in case, you know, you have to leave the van for a second and do something. Be careful not to drop the screw in any of these parts of the van. It is impossible to get it out. Okay, so this one is going to have to, we're going to have to get the clamp on it. Now we're not going crazy when we put the clamp on, we're just giving it a little bit of relief. Also, I would always use blue Loctite. That's what I'm doing. You're not going to want to use red. So red, they kind of it's either called permanent or hydraulic Loctite, and it will really hold the thread so much so that if you try to unbolt it, sometimes the head of the bolt shears off. I mean, it's pretty serious stuff, depending on how much you put on there. Okay, so this one doesn't want to go back in. So the hole looks straight, so this is a good opportunity to show you guys. I have the tap, and I'm just going to take the tap and just gently go in and clean the threads. That's what you call chasing the threads. Okay. Okay, in a rare case, if that doesn't work, which this one just doesn't feel right to me, get a new bolt, because you've probably galled the threads. That must have been what I did earlier. I think you guys get my point. Just don't force these screws. A lot of other stuff in the van you can redo, but you know, everybody's gonna see the window. You don't want the window to leak. It's all kinds of stuff. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So now that went in nice and clean. Yeah, I'm just going back behind these and just gently tightening them up before the Loctite sets. Okay, we're close. I think we only got like 4 more left. See if we got any questions. Oh, it's just Jamie. Hey, Jamie. Okay, this one will need to clamp as well. Yeah, just be careful clamping this after you get everything in, because it's putting more pressure on the frame, whereas before it could kind of move a little bit, but now it can't, so go easy. So 2 more left, and then we're going to do a final torque. And then we'll put we'll tape the foam back up just for demonstration purposes. And we'll put the outside panel on one last time, and that way you guys can see how this frame interacts with the window pill. And that'll be pretty much it. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, put those in the chat before we end the stream, and I can answer them. Okay, that was our last one. Now we're going to come through and just tighten these as much as we can with our hands, not using the leverage of this. And then we'll come back and do maybe 1/8 of a turn, because these are really compressed. Okay. Okay, so come here. We're just doing 1/8 of a turn. Very little. Unless one feels loose, and then you can do a little bit more. Okay, now we want to step outside the van, and this is where we double check that everything outside of the van is starting to compress. We want to make sure that the top's looking good. This bottom can go a little bit more. This side's good. That side's doing good. Okay. This is our last little 1/8 of a turn. And you'll feel these. They'll get to a point where they kind of just don't want to move anymore, and that's when you need to stop. Okay, that's it. So this is window is in there forever. We can open this up. Just test that everything is good to go. All right, let's move this stuff out here. Let's tape it up, get our outer panel on, and call it a live stream. So I need some new tape. I'm about to run out of tape. Okay, so we got our window peel. So check this out. Here's the magic. So bam. Window peel goes on. And see, what's good about this is, see how we still have adjustment? So pretty much what we'll do is when we upholster this, one, you won't have the squeaking, but the pressure will come from the panel to hold it in place, and then we're actually going to bolt this to the panel later after we upholster this. So I'm doing a little bit of back and forth, but that's so I can teach you guys how to do this. So we're not going to go crazy on tape because this has been a pretty long stream. So just do 4 pieces, and that's going to hold it in there because we're going to take this back off anyway when our fabric comes in. So. That should hold it until we get this in here. Let's go ahead and do our same thing. Bolt, just repeat the same install process. Okay, and then what we'll have is, this is the final step. And I showed this too in the other video, but since we're here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna have, so see, we're gonna be able to lift this up. So we got a little bit of adjustment. And this adjustment will need that so that when we upholster it on both panels, we'll lift this up and then we'll hold this into place. And then right here in the center, just call it right there, we'll drill in a, they call it a truss head screw, T-R-U-S-S. So a truss head, it's a screw that has a real wide head on it. So we'll do one here, probably one here, and the truss head is what's going to attach to this foam piece, and that's what's going to hold the foam in place. But as you guys can see, this is our finished product. All we have to do is upholster it, put the insulation behind it, and put it back on the wall, and we're done with the whole entire wall. Now, one thing that our customer wanted to have is a reading light. So we're going to, in a Ford Transit, there's a cavity behind here, and so there's not, it would probably be fine to put this light there, but we just want to make sure that nothing happens in the future. So behind here, I'm going to glue just a piece of either 1/4 inch, just to reinforce this. That way it has some meat to it when we put the little lamp on there. That way when you're moving it around, you don't have to worry about it, you know, coming off or breaking. This part up here, this little piece that kind of blew out on the wood, we'll repair that, get that nice and flat, sand it. Then when that's ready, we'll paint this. 2 reasons that I paint the panels. One is there is a mildew, there's mildew resistant paint. And so if you paint the panel, that allows it so that if it ever gets damp or really humid in the van, you don't have to worry about the wood panel mildewing. So it seals the wood. And then 2, it makes upholstering much easier. So instead of using, I'm just gonna make this up. Say it took 2 cans to spray this panel, which that's not true, but this is just an example. If you paint it, you'd only have to use 1. So you use almost more than half of what you would need to do a panel. And that's because if you put the adhesive on here, it'll actually soak into the wood a little bit and you lose that tackiness. Whereas where if you paint it, it holds up really, really well. So I've just learned that through experience. But yeah, that's that. Let's hop on the computer really quick. See if you guys have any further questions. There we go. And my camera is going nuts. Like, what the heck happened? All right, hold on. Let's get this thing where it needs to be. That's why. Holy cow. Crank it down a little bit. There we go. All right, let's pull up this really quick. All right, guys, I wanted to talk to you about, let's get the nice, there we go, nice microphone. Let's talk about the DIY van build cheat sheet. So if you guys don't know what this is, the DIY van build cheat sheet is essentially an Excel sheet of the last 3 years of all of my Amazon purchases organized into an Excel document. It is here to help you guys out, find products that I use, that I've personally bought, and have a place to start. Sometimes it's overwhelming to start when there's so many van parts. So if you're looking for stuff specifically, you know, storage, electrical, fasteners, hardware, HVAC, insulation, kitchen, air compressors, roofing, security, solar, even tools. So tools is my favorite part of this list. So all that weird stuff that I use, like the riv nut adapter, the Propex expansion crimping tool, ferrule crimpers for wire connections, soldering, felt tape. I don't know why I put that under tool. I just saw that. Anyway, this stuff is a place to go. It's quick. Right now it has over 250 items on here. It's always growing, ever changing. So always You'll always be up to date if you download this. Guess what? It's completely free. So all you have to do is put your name, email address. It'll be sent right to your inbox. I really think this will help you out on your DIY van build journey. So take a look at it. There's also this episode of the live stream is brought to you by Odyssey Custom Vans, which is my custom van conversion business. So the van that we are working on today, doing all this work, taking care of getting the van all nice and ready to go for our customer. This is Odyssey Custom Vans. So if you guys are interested in a van that we have currently for sale, which is this van. So this van is currently for sale. And if you want to see a quick walkthrough we did at the Adventure Van Expo in Chattanooga, Tennessee, you can check out this video over here on my right. We do a quick tour. If you guys have never been to an Adventure Van Expo, I highly suggest you go. It's awesome. If you're in the market for a van conversion, this is the place to go. You can meet builders. You can check out products. You can actually walk in vans and see, kind of feel what it's like. Sometimes vans are bigger than you expect. Sometimes vans are smaller than you expect. So it's really good to get your getting an experience of kind of walking through a van, kind of the try before you buy type of thing. But yeah, it's a really good place to connect with people. And I actually had a bunch of you guys come out and meet me at the show, which was incredible. It was so awesome to meet you guys. Yeah, check out that video. Down here, we have a list of all the parts that we installed on this van. And just to really quickly go over it, it's a EcoBoost, which is a turbocharged V6. It is an all-wheel drive van. It does have the limited slip rear differential option as well. It's got a 600 amp hour Renogy smart lithium system on it with the Renogy One. So that's our new all-in-one system that does Bluetooth connection to connect the inverter charger with the batteries and the solar charge controllers. So a really cool system. We've got a Dometic RTX 2000 12-volt AC on the top of the roof. We've got that paired with a Webasto Airtop Evo 40, which is the altitude adjusting gasoline-fired heater, which is directly connected to the auxiliary port of the Transit. So there's not an external tank that you're going to have to keep topping off. We got Scopima swivel seats, both driver and passenger. The MaxFan 7500K Deluxe Edition with a remote control. All the kitchen galley, the bed system, the overhead cabinets, the roof rack, the ladder, the rear tire carrier, the rear adventure rack is all from Flatline Van Co. Got a Rivati sink, Isotherm Cruise 130, stainless steel fridge, huge refrigerator, 12 volt. And then for water, we maxed everything out. We've got a 40-gallon freshwater tank, so you're never going to have to run out of water. You don't have to use the whole entire tank. You can only fill it up 20 gallons, but 40 gallons gives you the capacity in the future if you want to take that big trip that's like, a week long, 2 weeks, going out into the wilderness. We've got a 7-gallon under the sink gray water tank. You could upgrade that to 14 gallons. There's enough room in there. And then we have a completely separate standalone tank underneath the van from Northwest Conversions. That is the gray water tank for the hidden shower from Tetravan. So we've got an in-floor shower from Tetravan. It's a hidden shower. So you can see a couple of those photos here. We have not made the fancy video where we go do the tour of the van yet, so stay tuned for that. But this is going to give you a good idea of how everything's designed, the look and the feel of the van. One thing, the most important, I forgot, should be the first thing I talk about. This is an Adventure Wagon van. So the Adventure Wagon kit has been installed before the van got built. So we installed that in-house in our shop. And so the Adventure Wagon platform allows us to bolt on the overhead cabinets from Flatline Van Co., the bed system, and other Adventure Wagon compatible components that go into a van build. So the core of the van is the Adventure Wagon kit, and then we add the other stuff that we want to add to it. We do modifications in-house. So, for example, we modified this kitchen galley to accept an isotherm Cruise 130 fridge. It's actually only able to hold at 85 when you buy it. But yeah, we were able to fit the Cruise 130. We also have the Friedman seating, the flip and fold seat from Friedman Seating. This thing is awesome. This allows you to get it up out of the way, regain that space in your van, and then have additional 2 passengers when you need them. That's the Tetra Van hidden shower pan in the floor. It will be covered up with lawn sill, the lawn coin floor in this photo. We just left it exposed when we went to the show so everybody could see that, that's what it is. It kind of stood out. But it will look like a seamless hidden shower pan when we're finished. Back in the corner, you can see we've got a Flatline Vanco heavy-duty drawer slide. That thing's awesome, holds 500 pounds, and it's mounted to the chassis of the van, not drilled into the wood floor. It's actually bolted through the chassis of the van. Again, just another good photo to show you kind of the feel of the van. So dark grays, the powder-coated aluminum with the bamboo. So we got a bamboo ceiling from Adventure Wagon, and then we coupled that with our bamboo cabinets from Flatline Vanco and our bamboo countertops from Flatline Vanco. So Flatline Vanco, we have the 41-inch kitchen galley on our left, and we got the 24-inch on our right. Up top, we got 420 watts of solar. What else? Awesome. There's a ton of video on the power systems. You got to check that out on when you look at the video. Overhead shelf for storage. And then we've got lagoon mounts. We've got the Rigid Industries Amber Scene Light. I like amber because it's, I think it's more comfortable outside than the bright white light. So that's what we used in this build. And then we finish it off with the Fiamma F45S awning. We also upgraded the front grille to the Raptor style grille from the Transit Trail European model van. So it looks really cool. If you guys are interested in purchasing this van, you can contact me with this information below, sales@odysseycustomvans.com. That's my phone number. The best way to contact me is to click on this link. It pulls up my calendar where you guys can actually schedule a time on my calendar. So you just pick a date, find a time that's most convenient for you, click on it. It goes right on my calendar. We can hop on a call and talk about this van. If you're not interested in this van, but you like to have your own custom van conversion, like our customer that we're working on here that we put the windows in today, on the left side of this, there's a little intro on how to start that process. All you have to do, read this, get ready to hop on a phone call, select a time just like I was saying earlier, and you get up right on the calendar, and can't wait to talk to you about your future van conversion. So that's the best way to get in touch with me. I don't see any other questions on the chat, so if you guys stayed this long, thank you so much for watching the video today. Hope you learned a lot about installing the windows, interior panels. If you're not subscribed to this channel, get subscribed. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and share this to anybody that may be installing a window in their van. Doesn't have to be the AW1033. It can be any type of van window. It's kind of the same process. But yeah, if you have any questions, put those in the chat. And then until next time, we'll see you guys on the next live stream.